The day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer and found out I was pregnant. My boyfriend of 8 years was still being ambiguous with his female subordinate and delayed our marriage certificate. I looked at the sweet words on his phone, clutching my medical report, and smiled, since he didn't know how to cherish me. I would quietly leave with the baby and my secret, leaving him with regret for the rest of his life. The day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, I sat outside the hospital, staring blankly at the pregnancy test for a long time. My phone buzzed. It was my boyfriend of 8 years, Jong Kai. Lily, can we think about the marriage certificate again? Sure, I don't mean I don't want to marry. As if surprised by my quick and decisive reply, Jong Kai froze. Then said he'd skip dinner and hurriedly hung up the phone. I had been in a relationship with Jong Kai for 8 years. And we were supposed to get married soon. We started our business right after graduation. And last year the company had started to show some progress. We bought a car, paid the down payment for a new house. And it was almost renovated. If I didn't have this illness, next year I'd probably have a soft little baby sleeping in my arms. Jong Kai wasn't coming home for dinner. So I made myself a bowl of vegetable noodles, wondering how to talk to him later. After all, we had agreed last year to get the marriage certificate by the end of the year. The doctor was a young woman, and she suggested I shouldn't keep the baby, to focus on treatment. She also said that since I was so young, my chances of recovery were high and not to be afraid. I wasn't that scared. Because I had Jong Kai, he would always be by my side. The doorbell rang, and I was surprised that Jong Kai was at the door. The door opened, and Jong Kai was a bit drunk, being supported by a new employee we hired last month. The recent college graduate, Jong Lin. Sis-in-law. We were entertaining the client. And Mr. Jong had too much to drink. The cars parked downstairs. Jong Lin was wearing a pretty floral spaghetti strap dress, her face a bit flushed, and she had to tidy up her messy hair. I'll get him back to the car. I'll just take a cab home. Jong Kai, with hazy eyes, collapsed onto the couch and fell asleep. I took his jacket from him, and it smelled faintly of the orange blossom perfume Jong Lin wore. Thanks, Jong Lin. I smiled. It's late. Let me drive you back. Jong Lin hesitated but couldn't refuse. I don't feel safe with you taking a cab alone. How long have you and Jong Kai been planning to get married? She asked, trying to sound casual. As we drove, I paused, thinking about what Jong Kai had said to me on the phone earlier. I smiled awkwardly and replied, maybe in 2 years when the company is more stable, and when my health stabilizes. Got it. Jong Lin looked out the window thoughtfully, then suddenly smiled sweetly. I understand now. After dropping her off, I parked the car and realized I had left my vitamin E in the glove compartment. I opened the passenger door and found a torn plastic bag wedged between the seatbelt, square and flat. The oil from the bag seeped into my hand, and I froze. I suddenly thought of Jong Lin's spaghetti strap dress, her flushed face when she got out of the car, and Jong Chi's phone call earlier that afternoon, his eyes avoiding mine as he pretended to be drunk. I sat in the passenger seat, stunned. So many things had happened in just one day, and I didn't know where to start. Jong Kai and I started dating in our freshman year. He pursued me. At that time, I worked at a beef soup shop near the school gate to pay for tuition. Jong Kai fell for me at first sight. To win me over, he, a proper second-generation rich kid, ate beef soup every day for a year. The day I agreed to date him, he ate so much that he threw up in the shop. He couldn't even smell the soup anymore after that. Knowing I had a strong sense of pride, he ate in the school cafeteria with me, buying fruits and milk and forcing them into my hands. What if my future wife is malnourished? He'd say. He knew I couldn't stand the smell of cigarettes, so he quit smoking. One time, when his craving hit, he nervously pulled out a lollipop in front of his friends and blushed as he tried to save face, saying, "Peeved, you guys don't understand. People with families do this." I never knew what Jong Kai liked about me. He was tall, handsome, and came from a wealthy family. But Jong Kai didn't care. He just liked me. He was a stubborn person, the type to stick to something once he decided. The night he took me home to meet his parents, I felt it. I was holding fruit, feeling uneasy in front of his parents. They were polite, but the moment the servants began clearing the table, his mother gave a signal to Jong Kai to come and talk to her alone. The villa's lights were too bright, brighter than the sun in August, blinding me and reflecting off my old, faded-down jacket and worn-out jeans. This was actually the best outfit I had. I sat with my legs together on the European-style sofa, trying to make myself as small as possible. The servant's eyes seemed to shift toward me, almost like they were mocking me. It was like a knife slicing at my pride. I heard his mother's shrill voice. She must know you're rich, right? What can she offer you, with no parents? My heart felt like it was crushed underfoot. And I gasped for air. I lowered my head and tightly pinched my arm to keep from crying. Then the next moment, it was Jong Kai slamming the door open. He walked over, dark expression on his face, and grabbed my hand as I lowered my head on the sofa. We're leaving, Jong Kai. If you leave, don't call me your mom again. His mother shouted from behind. We won't give you a single penny. Jong Kai froze at the door. And before his mother could feel triumphant, he turned around and grabbed the gift I brought. You don't deserve this. It was New Year's Eve. And there were hardly any people or cars on the road. Even the subway wasn't running anymore. We had to walk to a hotel. As we passed a pedestrian bridge, the wind howled through my hair. The quiet city, with all the lights glowing, looked like a sea of stars in the distance. But none of those stars belonged to me. I didn't look back. Only lowered my head and whispered softly, Jong Kai, let's break up. He didn't say a word. Jong Kai, we. He unzipped his down jacket and pulled me into his arms from behind. He hugged me tightly, as if afraid that if he let go, I would disappear. The silence lingered, his head buried in my neck as he held me for a long time. Then he spoke, his voice soft but determined. Su Lee, I'll give you a home. By the time Jong Kai came back, he had already fallen asleep on the couch. I gently covered him with a blanket. My phone lit up with 2 unread messages. They were from Jong Lin. I've sent her home. Don't worry, Mr. Jong. And there was a cute little girl emoji, blowing a kiss saying good night. I felt like I shouldn't doubt Jong Kai, but I still slid up and looked at the chat history. Mr. Jong, what did you have for lunch today? The lunch I made for you? Yeah. Mr. Jong, sometimes you should have lunch with us single folks too. Tomorrow, I guess. The date was from 2 days ago. I remember Jong Kai specifically told me not to wake up early the next day to make lunch. I asked why, and he hugged me from behind, kissed my neck softly, and said he didn't want me to be too tired, so he gave me a day off. Mr. Jong, when are you getting married? There was a little girl emoji with a tear. The messages that used to get a quick reply now took 10 minutes for him to reply to, with just, I don't know. He said he didn't know. I put the phone down and didn't bother looking any further. There was no ambiguous message, just Jong Kai and I. When we were together, he would instantly reply to messages from Jong Lin, calling her, she, every time. But it felt like I was the third wheel between them. I put the phone back, stood up, and put my medical report and pregnancy test into the bottom drawer of my study, alongside our savings passbook. The wind started blowing outside, and a little rain had just fallen. The wind carried a little damp heat into the room. I closed the door and sat at my desk, dazed. Honestly, when I first got the results, it would have been a lie to say I wasn't scared. I sat outside the hospital, staring at the busy street, thinking for a long time. I thought, how could I tell him about this without making him so upset? Should I smile and say, Jong Kai, I've got good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? If he wanted the good news, I'd tell him he was going to be a dad. If he wanted the bad news, I'd tell him I was lying just now. Then he'd definitely knock my head and tell me I'm joking. Then I'd tell him about the cancer. He'd hug me from behind, just like before, telling me not to be afraid. I'd reassure him and make fun of how nervous he was. Then tell him that I wasn't scared at all. Or maybe I'd cry and tell him the truth. That I was scared. Scared of the pain. Scared it wouldn't get better. Scared that after chemotherapy, I would be bald. And I wouldn't be able to wear a ponytail or skirts. I'd tell him how much I'd miss this child. The children's room in our new house had a Lego wall. And he said we'd have a daughter and play Legos with her. He'd buy her lots of beautiful dresses. And he'd say the most cliché lines, telling me I'd always be the most beautiful in his heart. We'd have many children. And if this one wasn't good enough, we could just forget about it. But I hadn't decided yet, and his phone call came. On the phone, he said he wanted to get the marriage certificate later. I didn't hesitate at all and agreed. He loved me so much. He'd given up everything for me. How could I hold him back for a lifetime? At that moment, I almost hoped he didn't love me anymore, so he wouldn't be so sad. Maybe at that moment, some god passed by, looked down, and heard my wish. He really didn't love me the same way anymore. I still wanted to live. But I didn't know if living would hurt more than chemotherapy. I spent the night in the study with the wind, not knowing what to do. Jong Kai woke up at 7 a.m. and rubbed his temples before pushing open the study door. In his suit pants and light blue shirt, his broad shoulders and narrow waist were even more evident. I'm not a beauty admirer, but his face always made me stop in my tracks. Seeing me sitting, he froze and asked what was wrong. I shook my head. Nothing. I plan to ask for a leave of absence from work. Jong Kai smiled and stretched out his hand. Wanting to mess up my hair? Resign if you want. I can afford to support you. I gently dodged. Jong Chi's hand stopped awkwardly in the air and withdrew with a little unease. Why do you need leave? I'm just tired. If you count it as a career. I've been working for 9 years. I guess I'm tired. Since college, I've been working part-time to support myself. And when we first graduated, I was the one supporting Jong Kai. At that time, Jong Kai had cut ties with his family and started a business with his good friends. We were renting a place, and our life was stretched thin. To save 500 yuan on rent, I'd ride the subway for an extra hour. To make the 8 a.m. shift, I had to wake up at 5:45 a.m., work overtime until 9 p.m., then get home, wash up, and crash into bed by 11 p.m. At the time, there was no time and no money. And at the most extreme point, Jong Kai and I would barely talk all week. But he always came home late. Even though there were times he forgot his keys. One night, I woke up to find he wasn't beside me. I checked my phone and pushed the door open only to find him sitting outside, asleep. He was afraid to knock and disturb me, so he just napped outside. The hardest time was the first winter when the company owed me 2 months' salary. At the end of the year, we had no money. That day, Jong Kai came to meet me at the subway station. We passed by a pedestrian bridge, and a hot pot restaurant had just opened under it. The beef hot pot was their signature, and there was a long line, with steam wafting up, filling the air with a savory fragrance. Jong Kai said when we had money, we'd eat hot pot there first. We'd order the spicy beef oil tomato pot, 10 plates of fatty lamb rolls. Why 10 plates? 5 to look, 5 to dip. He said it with a grin. I won't eat hot pot with people who like tomato pot. What's wrong with you? I don't even talk to people who eat sweet rice dumplings. Before he could finish, he choked on his saliva. He coughed violently, and I hurried to pat his back. While patting, we made eye contact and suddenly burst out laughing. We laughed so hard, we couldn't straighten up. And people passing by stared at us. Looking back, I don't even know what we were laughing at. Maybe it was just joy in our poverty. Later, we had some money, but the hot pot restaurant had closed, and we never got to eat there. Once memories start, they're hard to stop. Thinking about the past, I suddenly felt my eyes well up. Jong Kai would probably find out about this in half an hour, then message or call me to explain. If he drove home, it would take 40 minutes. I thought for a moment and packed my things. A canvas bag, with my ID, phone, and some cash inside. Oh, and that organ donation certificate had to be with me too. Before I closed the door, I turned back and looked at the room one last time. The sun was shining today, and there was no wind. The washing machine was still running. I'd tossed the clothes in before I left, and I forgot that maybe nobody would hang them out to dry today. We'd lived here for 3 years. Every corner held memories of us together. The welcome mat at the door. The jar on the coffee table filled with candies we bought together and never ate because they were awful. The oil stain on the sofa from when he spilled hot pot and got scolded by me. I couldn't look anymore. If I kept looking, I'd never be able to leave. Driver, take me to the train station. I hailed a taxi, turned off my phone, and calmly stared out the window. The city I usually hated looking at suddenly made me feel a strange attachment. Like I couldn't get enough of it. I stared at the passing scenery, and the driver glanced at me through the rearview mirror, smiling. Hey, young lady, just moved here? No, I'm leaving. By the time Jong Kai finished his meeting, the pictures and chat screenshots had already spread through the office gossip group. Jong Lin cried until her eyes were swollen, burying her head on her desk and sobbing. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't flirt with Boss Jong. The first thing Jong Kai thought was to ask Su Li. Su Li, stop causing trouble, okay? Did you think about how I'd handle the public opinion at work when you sent these? I'm going home now. He should have known. When she called to say she was delaying the marriage certificate, she sounded too calm, too strange. She was holding it in, planning to punish him here. She wasn't replying to WeChat, and her phone was off. Su Li would never do that. She always said whatever was on her mind. On the drive home, Zhang Qi's anger slowly faded, replaced by a sudden sense of panic, like he felt unsteady. When he drank too much. He always felt like this on the way back. She's been acting strange lately. Could she be breaking up with me? He parked and ran upstairs. No one was home, but the washing machine was still running. And the sound of the spin cycle made his heart settle a little. Maybe she was just angry. Shut off her phone, and went out for a walk. Maybe she'd come back tonight. It wasn't a big deal, he didn't cheat. The stuff in the car wasn't his. And there was no suggestive message in the chat records. He only had a small crush on that new girl named Zhang Lin. She was energetic. And she didn't act overly respectful like other employees. Which made him feel a little excited. He had thoughts, but nothing crossed the line. He just saw her as a cute little sister. That was all. This kind of thing had happened before. Then they'd fight. And Su Li would cry until her tears fell. He would kneel down, wipe her tears, sincerely apologize, promise to do the dishes for a month. And they'd be fine again. This time would be no different. They'd been together 8 years, he knew her inside and out. What could possibly go wrong? Zhang Kai exhaled, leaned back on the sofa, and prepared to call her again. At that moment, a call suddenly came in from the company's vice president, his college friend and business partner. Zhang Yang. Bro, what the hell are you doing? Rabbits don't even eat grass near their own burrow. I kicked that Zhang Lin out already. You better apologize to your wife. Don't throw away what you've got. Zhang Qi's anger surged. I don't know what she's doing. I didn't do anything. I can't even find her. Zhang Yang paused on the other end. Your wife didn't run away, did she? Go back to her parents' house? Listen, I know how this works. Find her stuff, clothes, ID, luggage. If they're gone, she's bought a ticket home. Call your mother-in-law, apologize. Bring some gifts, and go to her house. Run away from home? Where could she go? Other girls would cry and go back to their parents, waiting for the guy to come apologize. But Su Li, he knew her background. She was abandoned at birth and raised by an old woman who collected scraps. The old woman died while Su Li was in high school. So she supported herself with work and school. Where could she go? Zhang Kai searched the room. No ID. But her clothes were still there. So she couldn't have gone far. Maybe she went out for dinner, or to shop. Or she'd spend his card until she calmed down. 24 hours passed. Su Li still didn't come back. Zhang Kai paced the room. Wait one more day, then we'll call the police. Bro, Zhang Yang patted his shoulder. I know this. Usually she'll block your number or put you on Do Not Disturb. But she still checks her phone. Just spam her with apologies, and she'll answer. Zhang Kai felt something was wrong, but he couldn't say what. Maybe because Su Li had been acting too strange lately. She hadn't leaned into his arm and acted sweet in a long time. She hadn't laughed happily in a long time. That day he opened the study door and saw her standing by the window. Like a wisp of smoke he couldn't catch. It felt like if he walked toward her, she would disappear. He remembered the look in her eyes when she turned around. Disappointment, with a hint of longing. It was the first time he'd ever seen that expression on her face. 48 hours passed. No news from Su Li. Call the police. Bro, what is your relationship with the missing Miss Su? Is she your wife? Zhang Kai was suddenly caught off guard. No. She's my girlfriend. The male officer nodded, understanding. Oh, just a couple fight. Then, normal. Think about what she said before she left. Where would she go? We'll file the report. File the report? There was one sentence that made it impossible. We can't open a case. Zhang Yang tried to comfort Zhang Kai. In this situation, you can't file a missing person report. You're not immediate family. Zhang Kai thought carefully about Su Li's personality. And what she'd said jokingly before. We've been together so long. If you ever hurt me, I'll make a scene. I'll take all our money as compensation for my youth. So it wasn't just a fight, it was a breakup? That day she sat in the study because she realized something and was ready to take the breakup money? Zhang Kai slammed the accelerator and turned the car around. As expected of his wife, between a man and money, she chose money. After hearing Zhang Qi's explanation, Zhang Yang in the passenger seat laughed and teased. Stop joking. Open the study drawer. The passbook was there. The bank card was there. And, at that moment, Zhang Kai felt his blood rush to his head. Bro, how much did she take to run away? Zhang Yang slapped his shoulder. Still smiling. Zhang Kai didn't hear him. He grabbed his phone with shaking hands and called again and again. But it was still off. Li, answer the phone. Su Li, please answer. Zhang Yang stared at the panicked man in front of him. He'd known Zhang Kai for 9 years. He'd seen him confident, seen him poor, but never seen him like this. Like his soul had been pulled out, collapsed on the floor. His wife took all the money? Zhang Yang thought this, and cautiously pushed open the door. In the room, Zhang Kai sat on the floor with his back to him, holding a medical record in one hand and grabbing his hair in panic with the other. Zhang Yang saw his eyes were red. The next second, tears fell, trying to find a sign of hope in the words. Zhang Kai studied the medical record again and again until the letters became unfamiliar. Is this Su Li's illness? Is she sick? Is she pregnant? When did this happen? Why didn't she tell me? What am I? Zhang Kai sat outside the hospital, eyes red, crushing another cigarette under his shoe. He couldn't find the right word to describe himself. He saw the doctor's name at the bottom of the medical record and ran to the hospital to find someone. What is your relationship with the patient? The doctor's name was Anran, young, but with a look like she'd seen life and death. I'm her boyfriend. Boyfriends aren't family. Patient privacy is involved. I can't tell you. Dr. N, I beg you, I can't find her. Zhang Kai was frantic. The doctor was his only lifeline. I can't tell you. Then that day, if the patient doesn't say, I can't say. And Ran stared at the scruffy, red-eyed man in front of her. She didn't pity him, she found him ridiculous. If he were a good man, Su Li wouldn't have said she was alone when she arrived. You should know where she would go better than I do. And Ran pressed the call button. Mr. Zhang, don't waste time that could be used for treating patients. Zhang Kai sat outside the hospital in a daze. Cars passed by, people hurried along with their heads down. Their steps were like wind, like a stream, rushed and self-absorbed. Everyone had somewhere to go. He didn't know where he was supposed to go. He looked at the date of the first diagnosis on the medical record. That afternoon, when Su Li learned 2 pieces of news at the hospital. How did she feel? She was timid. Was she scared? She cried easily. Was she sitting alone, crying for a long time? Zhang Kai didn't know. He should have been by her side. What was he doing then? Probably at a social event. Zhang Lin poured him a drink, and he drank it all. When he saw Zhang Lin in a tank top, he admitted his heart wasn't clean. Then he called Su Li and told her about the marriage, saying he'd think about it later. He rejected her first. So she said nothing. Su Li was like that. Once rejected, she never brought it up again. Maybe because of her childhood. She was sensitive to love, and sensitive to the absence of it. Like when she wanted to raise a cat. She'd said at the time, we're not ready to have one now. Su Li actually understood better than he did. So she only petted cats when passing by, or tapped their paws through the glass at the pet store. She wanted it, but she pulled herself away. She should have bought it for her. They were financially stable then. It was just a cat, easy to buy. Like marriage. It could have been done easily. The rest of life could be figured out later. But he thought, after 8 years of supporting each other, marriage didn't matter. He was a coward. Just a marriage certificate. How stingy he was to withhold it from her. Bro, check her Meituan, C-Trip, Fliggy accounts. See what hotel she booked, what ticket she bought. Zhang Yang reminded him. She went to a small, unremarkable county town. Then took another taxi. The order showed she was at a supermarket in a remote village. A tiny supermarket at the foot of a mountain. And a bus that came once every half day. Zhang Kai didn't know why she came here. But the village had few people. So it was easy to ask about a stranger's whereabouts. He showed her photo to the small supermarket owner. Looks like this girl came here a few days ago. She seemed to be in some trouble. She sat there all afternoon without speaking to anyone. The shop owner's wife added. Later she took the bus and left. Where did she sit? Up the mountain. The shop owner's wife pursed her lips. There's an old grave up there. It's been there for years. It wasn't really a mountain, just a dirt mound. A few steps and you were on top. Zhang Kai gave the owner money, and the owner led him. Here, she sat here. A short dirt mound with no name. Only a pile of burned paper ashes. Su Li had no family, only her grandmother, who died when she was in high school. Su Li had once said, if they got their marriage certificate, she'd bring him here to show her grandmother. Now she couldn't. What if we broke up? That time, Su Li's expression was very serious. And my grandma treated me so well. She wouldn't just let you meet her casually. I'll definitely treat you well too. And then your grandma will haunt you in your dreams, scolding you for not bringing your grandson-in-law to see her sooner. Jong Kai, give me a break. Su Lee, touch your conscience. Haven't I treated you badly? You treated her badly. She doesn't have a single relative. That's why she misses her grandma so much, right? So what did she think about that afternoon she sat here? Did she tell her grandma everything? Or did she not mention herself at all? Jong Kai didn't know. He didn't really know Su Lee's past. He only knew she refused to talk about it. And whenever family was mentioned her eyes would redden. He remembered when she first cut ties with her family. They suffered a lot. He ran extra clients and rushed for the subway. Fell, and scraped his knee, skin and pants stuck together. That night when he took his clothes off, the pain made him grit his teeth. Su Lee sat beside him and helped him dress the wound, scolding him for being careless. What did he say again? He said it didn't hurt. And told her to stop nagging because she was annoying. Then she pressed harder, pouring iodine on his wound. And he dramatically yelled in pain. Even though he was the one hurting. Somehow her tears fell. Hey, don't cry. I was lying to you. It really doesn't hurt. Su Lee just cried. And she didn't even know how such a small, thin girl could cry so many tears. She finally wiped them away and lifted her head, eyes red as she looked at him. Jong Kai, you have a home. Go back. Don't waste your time with me. I'm not going back. They don't want me. Parents never truly stop loving their child. It's just something they say in anger. She knew that kind of parent. No way. If they don't want you, then I don't want them either. She pretended to be angry. If you push me away again, I'll really get mad. Then she suddenly froze, and she smiled. How could a girl's tears and smile switch so quickly? Sometimes even she couldn't understand it. But the way her eyes were still red while she smiled was really adorable. Those 6 years of youthful arrogance. He really never went home once. Later, the company finally looked like it was doing well. You should buy something and visit. Apologize to your aunt. She probably misses you too. Su Lee comforted him like that. She had never experienced warmth from parents. She was just soft-hearted and easily forgave others. Even if his mother said terrible things. She said being a mother wasn't easy. Carrying a baby for 10 months was hard. Raising him was hard. So don't make her sad. Before he could feel moved, she angrily added, but I'm not going to see her. Okay, she really did hold grudges. In October, the late wind and memories were sharp as blades, slowly tearing his heart apart. Suddenly, fog rose before Zhang Qi's eyes. He shook as he lit a cigarette, but couldn't see clearly no matter what. His throat and chest felt like a heavy olive pit was pressing down. He couldn't swallow it, couldn't spit it out. It stabbed him so badly he couldn't breathe. What kind of asshole things had he done? Once he found her, he immediately bought her a cat. Then, whether she wanted it or not, he carried her to the civil affairs office. And he promised he would never let her wash dishes again. Never play rock paper scissors to decide who cooked. He would do it all. Grandma, I'm sorry. I didn't take care of Su Lee properly. And she's mad at me. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me. Please bless me. Help me find her, okay? Su Lee's last trip ended here. She didn't buy a ticket through an app again. And she didn't book a hotel. Zhang Kai posted on Moments. And on Weibo too. It was the counselor who found him through his post. I heard from students someone saw Su Lee at school. She went back to the city where their university was. If I hadn't seen your post, I'd have thought you two got married. Back then, your relationship was the talk of that entire class. Before he could go to the school, the hospital news came. The news came like a tidal wave. Grief doesn't give you time to prepare. It hides in the corner waiting to strike. He even had his donation papers with him. What a shame. Still so young. People rushed through the hospital with anxious faces. This place lacked nothing but crying and tears. Even the gods were used to the deaths here. They passed by without stopping to look at the living. He chased after her, but was always one step too late. She must have hated him so much she left nothing for him. What is your relationship to her? I'm her boyfriend. These items are not allowed to be given to you. You're not a family member. Please. Zhang Kai grabbed the nurse's sleeve and knelt hard. The nurse held the keepsake box, looking helpless. I'm begging you, I really don't know what to do. Passers-by stared. Don't do this. I'm also having a hard time. These items have to go to the police for the family to collect. What if there's no family to collect them? They might be destroyed. In any case, they can't be handed to anyone. Zhang Yang pulled Zhang Kai away and apologized to the nurse. Don't make it difficult for her. She's just doing her job. There's nothing valuable. I'll ask my friends at the police station if they can help. If you keep this up, I can't help you. Zhang Yang coaxed and dragged Zhang Kai away. Let's eat something first, okay? If you can hold on. I can't. Let's go to that place. Zhang Kai hadn't eaten in 2 days. When he finally spoke, Zhang Yang felt like he'd been pardoned. The car stopped at the university gate. The beef soup place was still open. The couple now had twin daughters, running and laughing in the sunlight. It's Zhang Kai. The owner recognized him, surprised and happy, and looked behind him. Li? She didn't come with you? The beef soup and steaming pastries were served. Zhang Yang knew his habit of eating beef soup too quickly hadn't gotten better, because Zhang Kai ate mechanically. When nausea rose, he forced himself to swallow hard, pushing through the discomfort. Zhang Yang wanted to say something several times, but didn't know what to say. He frowned as Zhang Kai finished eating. Zhang Kai finished, bowed his head, and didn't speak. Zhang Yang couldn't see his face, only watched his tears fall one by one as he buried his head and sobbed. I wanted to marry her, but I don't know if Li still wanted to marry me. I'll never know again. Zhang Yang brought Su Li's phone. The password was his birthday, he knew it. The first WeChat message was from him. Li, don't be mad. When you come back, let's go buy a cat, okay? Scrolling up were several unread messages. Li, don't be stupid. If you see this, call me. Li, I'm sorry, talk to me, please? Su Li, don't make trouble, okay? Did you think about how I'll handle the public opinion at work? I'm going home now. These messages were unread, meaning she saw them. There was a note from Dr. Ann. Dr. Ann, sorry to bother you again. I really have no one else to talk to. Half an hour later, she wrote, Doctor, I'm really scared. I don't want to die. Doctor, and might have been sleeping and didn't reply. Then a long silence. She didn't bother him again. That night, after dinner, around 3 a.m., she was sleeping beside him. She would rather talk to a doctor she barely knew than wake him. How disappointed must she have been in herself? Doctor, if it doesn't hurt much, does that mean it's not serious? No, even if it doesn't hurt, it could still be spreading. Symptoms vary by person. I see, thank you, doctor. Zhang Kai sat on the ground in a daze, opening every app she had used. On Taobao she searched baby clothes, men's winter clothes, and wedding veil accessories. On Jihu she searched, late-stage stomach cancer during pregnancy. How long can you live with stomach cancer? On Douban she applied to join a cancer diary group. The admin approved her yesterday. Her location was still near the university, and she searched for rentals. Zhang Kai suddenly remembered what she said that day. Zhang Kai, I really want to go back to the past. She wanted to go back because the past had a Zhang Kai in it. That Zhang Kai would eat beef soup for a year to chase her, would stand by her without hesitation when she was most upset, would hold her tight even when they were broke, and say, I'll give you a home. No need to look for a place to live. No one can kick us out. He remembered the day she agreed to him. He waited downstairs for Su Li after class. The weather station issued a strong wind warning, and the wind blew him dizzy. It was his 9th confession. Zhang Kai thought she would reject him like the first 8 times. But Su Li nodded, blushing. It felt like the wind stopped and the world fell silent. That Zhang Kai wasn't like the Zhang Kai now. He said he loved her but always made her wait. Someone who truly wants to leave won't say goodbye. She just chose a sunny afternoon, put on her usual coat, walked out the door, and never came back. Zhang Kai began to suffer from insomnia. Sometimes he couldn't tell if he was asleep or awake. Dr. Wu Yang in neurology refused to give him too many meds. Half a pill at a time, no extras. Zhang Yang thought Zhang Kai had gone insane, because he spent a lot of money finding so-called psychics. Most were scams, taking money and making up stories. Even Zhang Yang couldn't listen to them anymore. They said Li forgave him. Li wanted to marry him. Li never hated him. Zhang Kai tilted his head and listened carefully. When he heard, Li wants to marry you, he smiled softly, then tell her to wait for me. He often had illusions that Li was still here. The hot water was still running. The razor blades were still sharp. Her shampoo wasn't finished. And the towel was still hanging in the bathroom. He remembered she said this shampoo was cheap and good. But it was being discontinued. She used to ask him what he liked about her. He always said he liked her long black hair. But he would never admit it. He liked her because it was love at first sight. When he came out of an all-night internet cafe, he saw her giving a hot soup and pastry to a scavenging old lady, saying it was free, but he secretly paid for it. It was late autumn. Yellow light reflecting a morning fog onto her face. And he thought he saw an angel. Of course, even if you beat him to death, Jong Kai would never admit he liked her because she was kind. His friends all said they liked big breasts. Fair skin. What a joke. When he said he liked kind girls, he felt embarrassed. So he said he liked her long hair. But it didn't matter if it was long or short. Even if she went bald, he would still like her. He liked her no matter what. But Su Li was kind. Yes, she also held grudges. So even in death, she donated everything she could donate. She didn't leave him a single trace. Not even a place to apologize. Her scent in the room gradually faded. It was strange, women really do have a fragrance. They say it's just perfume soaking in. But Jong Kai knew it wasn't the same. Even if other girls used the same brand. Only she had that scent that made him feel safe. Like cat fur warmed by the sun. Like a blanket on a rainy day. Like something familiar he couldn't name. When he was sleepless or sick, if he pulled her close and buried his face in her neck like a cat, he would instantly calm down. With her things around him, with her scent still there. It felt like on a sunny afternoon she could open the door at any moment and smile. How was it? Did I trick you? Did you really cry? Okay, don't be mad. Can't I wash the dishes? The moment a loved one leaves isn't actually the hardest part. The hardest part is the quiet afternoon room. The dark window when you come home at night. The empty pillow when you turn over at midnight. Before his consciousness fell into darkness, Jong Kai made a wish. He wanted to go back to the day the wind stopped.